Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be episode 18 of my story. And if you remember, on the previous episodes, I've made mention that it was difficult now to go home where my father is. Uh, Most of the time, when I want to go home from school, as I've just started high school, I had to like stand by the corner, wait for somebody who's coming from my home. Take note, my home was a business place. My grandmother used to sell a whole lot of things, snacks, biscuits, loose draws. Loose draw, I'm referring to cigarette and traditional liquor. But sometimes, there was no alcohol, but everything else was there. So I would choose to stand by the corner, wait for somebody that's from my home, just so I can ask if my father was there and if he looks excited. Because if he was not in a good mood, you would really wonder if you want to go home or not, because you may go home and you find that everybody's running. It was just that conscious thing in me that, I cannot go home until I figure out that my father was in a good mood. And he was mostly in bad mood than the moment that he was in good mood, because all he wanted was to get some money to go out and relax with his friends. And the friends and the uncles, there used to be one group of gentlemen, because my father used to hang out with his uncles, with certain of his friends, and there was this one place that they all liked to go, to grab a drink, and if there's still money, they will remain there until maybe the following morning. So it was very, very difficult for me to just leave school and just rush home, even though I may be hungry whatsoever, because, my father was really unpredictable. So this one day, I'm leaving school and I'm walking home. Then I spot two gentlemen in front of me. One was my father's cousin and one was my father's friend. They were all, a cycle of friends. As I spotted the two gentlemen, I didn't want to walk towards them, because I used to use the moment from school, that 30 minutes walk, to kind of like brainstorm, to think as to what is the worst that could happen. How do I escape certain things, and take note, my other friends were already, influencing me to take certain substances to avoid pain, and so I was walking by, and there's two gentlemen. Um, they were going to my father to maybe, you know, grab him to go out for some drinks. I don't know, because it was a matter of drinks and weed. The group, the entire members of, that friendship zone, they used to smoke and they used to drink. So as I was following the two gentlemen behind them, I don't know how far away I was, but maybe 500 meters or maybe 200 meters away. They then entered my granny's place, the gate, and as they were heading straight to my father's house, remember, if you followed, there was a three-roomed house here and one rendezvous house here. So my mother used to stay in the rendezvous house, when my grandmother and my uncle and us and my younger brother used to stay in the three-roomed house. So my granny in the three-roomed house had a room where she was sleeping there with me and my younger brother. We were young, but we were sleeping on the floor. The middle room was empty, and the other room on the other side was my uncle's room, when my mother and my father were staying in this round house, which is just opposite the three-roomed house. So the two gentlemen were walking straight to my mother's rendezvous house. It's a round house. Uh, and as they were approaching, they then realized that my mother was jumping out of the house, running. Actually, she was walking out, but she was not in a good mood. I could see from where I was that something was terribly wrong, because my mother went out. There was a small wall just next to my mother and my father's house there. I don't know what is the actual purpose of those walls. In my home language, we call them maguba. Oba una guba le lo linganela le tuku la budi. But my father just finished bathing, and my mother went to go spill the water because my father couldn't do a thing at all by himself. He actually needed one to do everything for him, and that was mainly my mother. And if my mother is not there, it was me. That's why I used to get a lot of hiding, a lot of irregular treatment when my mother was not there, because my father expected me to do the chores like my mother would do if she's around. So my mother just went to go spill the water behind that small wall. Right? And then apparently there was a fight that arose inside the house. That was with regards to me going to that particular school that my father didn't want me to go to. So in that sense, my mother went to go spill the water, and then there was a soap inside the water. So my father finished bathing but left the soap inside the water. So as there was that mini fight that just arose, my mother went to go spill the water. She noticed the soap behind the wall. She tried to grab the soap with her own bare hands, but she couldn't reach to where the soap was. She went around. She got a shovel. She wanted something to just lift the soap up so she can get access to it. She got the shovel, and then she managed to lift the soap. And I think my father, wherever he was inside the house, he was boiling. It was, the heart was filling up. I don't know why. And then he decided to then go and take a hit on my mother while she was busy grabbing the soap. And then he started, the necessary. I've used so much beating word. It even sound unreal now, but it is what it is, guys. And I cannot use any other word. But he started beating my mom just right outside, when my cousin and his friends could see. Remember, they are all related. They're all friends and cousins and uncles and nephews, and yeah. So as he started beating my mother, the two gentlemen were approaching. And take note, the cousin, my father's cousin, was mainly based in Johannesburg. And we as young kids had a tendency or believe that people from Joburg were intellectually smart. We thought they were smart money-wise, intellectually so, and everything. So we believed so much in people that comes from Gauteng because we thought they were more developed. And they were. I mean, I'm not disputing that, but I expected much more from my father's cousin than what he did, Richard wa richa vatuku vana vamukala ra richi believe uri vathu vakubva makwani ndiva special, ndiva special ra chiva respect nga maanḓa. So ndandikho lavhelela uri cousin ya time I ḓo ita something much better. I ḓo ita move seeing that my father is starting to beat up my mom. But take note, I'm still not yet too close, and I don't want to get too closer because I don't know what could happen. I never really wanted to see my mother get a beating. It was not good for me. So Mkala, my father started hitting on my mom, and then the cousin tried to run to stop my father from doing what he was doing. But as he was approaching, my father just turned to him and said, "Hey, Wena, do you want to see who I am? I'll show you." And that guy just stopped, and I was not really impressed because I thought the guy was going to defend my mother. So seeing that my mother had no one to defend her after getting beaten, it was bad. Not as bad as the other days, but it was also bad. She dropped the shovel, and then she went back into her house, and then she started sobbing and crying. Yeah, it's something that actually hurts me when I talk about it. And then my mother just dressed quickly, my father, sorry, just dressed quickly and stepped out with the cousin and the friend, and they went out. So I never knew what they used to discuss when they were together. But later on that evening, my father came back. I think that was around 6 p.m. because everything happened around 2:30 to 3 p.m. They went out, and then he came back around 6 p.m. My mother had ran away because apparently my father told my mother during the whole beating session that when he comes back, he's going to finish her. He's going to finish my mother. So my mother had to disappear, but she disappeared without actually letting us know whether we must also disappear or just remain. So my father came back, and then the first question he asked to my granny was, "Where's your daughter?" My granny was like, "She ran away." And then he said to my granny, I was there, I was listening, he said, "Look, I've decided to go. I'm leaving, and I'm leaving forever. I'm going for good. I'm going to Johannesburg. You are not going to see me again, and I've decided." Okay, fine. He just walked out with a small bag full of radio cassettes. He used to love music big time, music from Zimbabwe. He used to play that and reggae music. He took his small bag, he walked out of the yard, and we celebrated. We were excited that maybe we're going to have a better life. So eventually, my granny said to us, me and my younger brother, "Let's go and pack everything from that house, because you never know. What if somebody breaks in and steal the TVs and the radios and everything? Let's go grab everything from that house and bring them into this 3-roomed house, but in the middle room, where they can be secured, where we would hear if somebody decides to break in to take something." So we started carrying things, the bed and the TV and the radio and everything, to this middle empty room. Everything was there now, and we went to go sleep. Midnight, around 12:30 or 1 o'clock, we could hear the footsteps. And then my mother's house got opened. We could hear the sound of the door. It just sounded like it was kicked, And then we had the footsteps coming to this house. We never used to lock the middle room. So he came in, and then he knocked by my granny's door. And he said, "Come here." My granny walked out. Then my father said to her, "I want to sleep. Where are my things?" And then that moment I woke up, I'm standing right behind my granny, and I'm wondering what worse could happen now. Because that gentleman, if you want to do something, he wanted to do it right there and there, same time. The bed is here, TV is here, and everything is here. And when he's upset, he likes to sleep with the radio on. As my granny tried to explain that we were afraid that people may break in and steal. Yo, guys, I'm so sorry for this moment. I just saw my father throwing a bigger slap on my granny right on the face. My granny had to fall next to my legs. And just as she fell, she went to silent mode. I think she was unconscious for a minute or two, until my father could shout, "Don't act like you're dead, dear. I want everything back into the house now." Okay, guys, I had to hold my granny's hand and help her to stand, because she was not okay at all. And as bad as it was, we had to help each other carry the bed, because my father said he wanted the bed first so he can sleep, right? And then we carried the bed, the three of us. My uncle was usually not there, and he was just a drunkard. He used to just drink. He was not even strong enough to stand my father, to be honest. But he used to go for like 2 weeks and come back. So we had to help each other carry the bed to that house where my mother and my father stayed. We took the bed first, and then we took the blankets, and then my father had to sleep while we carry on, bring everything else back. My granny was bleeding, and she was not okay. I don't know the best word to explain or to describe how my granny was, but it's like she was doing everything with her eyes closed, because she was shaking. She was just miserable. We carried everything back to the house, and we finished around, I think, around 3 a.m., and we had to go back to sleep. And I can't remember if the following day was a weekend, but my father woke up very early in the morning. He left, he went to his friends, and then later that evening he came back drunk, and he said to me and my younger brother, we have to go with him to his grandmother and grandfather's place. We had to walk there. It was about 5 to 10 kilometers walk, and through the bush. It was at night that time, and he said to me and my brother, we have to carry the shovel because he wanted to show to his grandmother and grandfather that my mother wanted to chop him with the shovel. And he said we need to be the witness of that matter, and we couldn't dispute it because we were afraid that the worst could happen. Just imagine having to stand against your own mother to say she wanted to kill him, whereas you know very well that she never wanted to kill him. She just wanted to grab a soap. But now my father was using that as a point of reference to his lies to say my mother was intending to kill him. And we had to take a walk, guys. Right at night, he was walking and smoking hemp. We walk and then he smokes hemp, and then until we get to his grandmother's place. And guys, my heart is painful now as I remember all these things that was happening. I just failed to explain each and every one of the things that happened, but I just want to give you the rhythm of the stories until you understand where it ended, but I wish I can tell you everything one by one what happened, but it's just not possible because I tend to forget certain things, and then I refer to my brother because he still remembers a lot of what happened. He helps me out with the information as it happens, as it happened. Sometimes I get to just forget certain bits of the story, and I get so emotional as I carry on telling the story. And the moment I'm emotional, I just tend to forget more of the things that happened. But that night we got there, and then he woke everybody up. There were other kids there that used to stay there. He woke everybody up, and then he started explaining how my mother wanted to chop him with a shovel the previous day, and we had to account to that. We had to say to the granny and the grandfather that yes, it is true that my mother wanted to, because he couldn't stand by him, he couldn't dispute him. He had a gun on him, and he was a strong man, and we were just babies, we were just kids, and we had to just say, yeah, that's true, my mother wanted to do whatever. And that's how, guys, the story ended for this episode, where we were standing against our own mother by force. And guys, I'm gonna carry on on the next episode, which is going to be episode 19. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for making this story possible to tell. And I'm not so proud to be doing this, but I have to, because there is a reason why I'm doing this, guys. There's a lot of people that are going through certain things and they think their life is over, and I want to rest assure everybody that you can live again. Thank you.